And welcome to Digital Signal Processing online lecture series. Today's topic is sampling theorem from the unit introduction. So let's start with that. Now, as we have discussed in previous lecture, in analog to digital conversion, that means to convert any analog signal into digital signal, the first process is sampling, the second one is quantizing, and the third one is encoding. So now in the first process, that is in sampling, it is necessary to take as many as samples possible to represent the original signal completely. Now the statement of this sampling theorem is a continuous time signal x of t can be completely represented in sampled form and recovered back from the sampled version if the sampling frequency fs is greater than or equals to twice of w, where w is the maximum frequency of the continuous time signal x of t. That means what? If I want to convert any continuous time signal or analog signal in its sampled version, the condition fs should be greater than or equals to should be satisfied, and if I want the original signal back from its sampled version, also this condition has to be satisfied. Okay, so this is the statement of sampling theorem. Over here, let us consider the input first, that is x of t, which is our analog input signal or else discrete time signal. The another input we are going to consider is s of t, which is our sampling signal. Okay, and the output of this multiplier block will give you a sampled signal which is represented as x delta of t. That means this multiplier block will multiply the analog input signal with this sampling instance or sampling signal, and it will give you a sampled output. Okay, by multiplying these two signals. Now let us consider the graphical representation of individual these two signals. First, let us consider the analog or discrete time signal x of t, right? This is our x of t. Alright, let us consider one signal like this, and we will indicate its sampling instance. Okay. Now let us consider some of the sampling instance to this signal. Alright, this is our x of t, that is original analog input signal. Now let us consider sampling signal, that is s of t, which is actually a chain of unit impulse signals, right? So let us draw s of t indicating chain of unit impulse signals, right, with different time intervals. Okay, these are the timing instant, that is ts, 2ts, 3ts, likewise. Similarly at this side it will be minus ts, minus 2ts, minus 3ts, likewise. Okay, here ts is your sampling time. Alright, now according to this, multiplying these two signals, we are going to obtain the sampled signal, that is x delta of t. Okay, so let us draw that. Now, as you can see, our input signal x of t is like this. So according to that, I will get the sampling signal. Alright. So at that particular instant, by multiplying this 2, I will get the sampled signal something like this. Okay. Okay, here as many as samples you can take. Sampling instance, if I want to take the sampling instance over here like this, that may be possible, right? This will give you the accurate sample signal. The number of sampling instances are if higher, it will get the exactly accurate sample signal, right? So this is our x of t analog input signal. This is s of t, that is a sample signal, and after that we are getting the sampled signal using these two signals. Okay. Now let us see which are the steps to prove the sampling theorem. We will consider 6 basic steps and we will see each of them in detail. So here the first step is to represent the sampling function s of t mathematically. Second step is to represent the sampled signal x delta of t mathematically. The third step is to obtain the Fourier transform of the sampled signal, that is our x delta of t. The fourth step is reconstruction of the signals from the samples. The step number 5 is to represent the graphically interpolation process. So that is graphical representation of the interpolation process. Then number 6 is actual recovery of x of t using an ideal low pass filter. Now let us see each and every step in detail. The first step is representing the sampling function s of t mathematically, right? So it is mathematically expressed as s of t, that is equals to summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite delta of t minus nts. Here delta of t minus nts indicates a different sampling instance because we have here considered the train of unit impulse signal, right, at a different timing instance. So s of t, that is your sampling signal, is considered as summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite delta of t minus nts. Now the second is to represent the sampled signal x delta of t mathematically, right? And as we have seen in earlier, it is a multiplier block which multiplies the input signal with the sampling signal, right? So we can get the sampled signal by multiplying these two signals, that is x of t multiplied by s of t. Alright, here we are considering different timing instance, discrete time instance. So we are taking x of nts multiplied by s of t, right? So this will give me x delta of t, that is equals to summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite x of nts into delta of t minus nts, because in previous step, that is in step number 1, we have already derived the equation of s of t. We are placing the value of that in this equation, right? So we are getting x delta of t, that is equals to summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite x of nts into delta of t minus nts. Okay. Now the third step is to obtain the Fourier transform of the sampled signal, right? So here we have considered s of f, that is equals to fs, where fs is signal frequency. Summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite delta of f minus nfs. So as you can see, x delta of t, we know that it is given as x of t into s of t. To Fourier transform this and to get x delta of f, what we need to do is we need to have the convolution of that, because multiplication in time domain is convolution in frequency domain. Okay. So here x delta of f is given as x of f convolution with fs summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite delta of f minus nfs. Okay. So the next step will be fs into summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite x of f convolution with delta of f minus nfs. Now using the formula, we can write like this: fs into summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite x of f minus nfs. Okay. Now we are splitting the part where we are considering the n equals to 0 part, taking it as common. So first term will be fs into x of f, where we have taken the value n equals to 0. Okay, that means what? In this term, that means here if I take n equals to 0, okay, so here by placing n equals to 0 will give you x of f minus 0, that will give you x of f, right? So this is that first part, that is fs into x of f. This value is for n equals to 0. So the rest part in this is n does not equals to 0. So we have represented the equation like this, where first term is fs into x of f, where n equals to 0, plus fs into the rest term is as it is, where n does not equals to 0, right? So the next equation will be x of f equals to 1 by fs x delta of f minus summation of x of f minus nfs. How we have brought this? Because we know that over here we have derived this equation for x delta of f, right? So I am making this subject x of f, okay? So I am getting the equation of x of f, right? But in the range minus w2 plus w, for the frequency range minus w2 plus w, the second term of the above equation will not be present. So the equation will be x of f equals to 1 by fs x delta of f, okay? But here fs, that is your signal frequency, is twice of w, okay? So putting this value in this equation, we are getting x of f, that is equals to 1 by 2w, summing of n equals to minus infinite to infinite instance for x of n ts into e raised to minus j 2 pi fn ts, okay? We are placing ts, sampling time, that is equals to 1 by 2w. So the equation will be like this: x of f equals to 1 by 2w summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite x of n by 2w. Here we have placed ts equals to 1 by 2w into e raised to minus j 2 pi fn by 2w, okay? Now the fourth step is reconstruction of signal from samples. So to get this, we are going to take inverse Fourier transform of the x of f signal to get the x of t, that is our original signal, right? So what we have to do is we have to apply the formula of inverse Fourier transform. So it will be 1 by 2w summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite x of n by 2w into e raised to minus j 2 pi fn by 2w. This is the same formula in the previous we have seen the x of f, okay? So the next is x of t, that is equals to integration of minus w to w interval with the same formula in bracket into e raised to minus j 2 pi ft into df. This is the formula for inverse Fourier transform where we have taken x of f as shown above, okay? So next term will be, we are taking the 1 by 2w part common with summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite x of n by 2w integration in the interval minus w to w e raised to minus j 2 pi fn by 2w into e raised to j 2 pi ft df, right? Now we are taking the e raised to term part common, so that will be 1 by 2w summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite x of n by 2w integration of minus w to w e raised to j 2 pi f. We have taken common, so the rest part will be t minus n by 2w into df, okay? So now the next term will be 1 by 2w summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite x of n by 2w in bracket e raised to j 2 pi w into t minus n by 2w minus e raised to j 2 pi minus w into t minus n by 2w divided by j 2 pi t minus n by 2w, okay? So we can define this with the function sign. So the next term will be x of t, that is equals to 1 by 2w summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite x of n by 2w in the bracket. The formula of sine theta is adjusted because we know that sine theta equals to e raised to j theta minus e raised to minus j theta by 2. Okay, so using that formula we have written over here the formula of sine. Now we are going to use the sine c function, where sine c function, that is a complementary sine function, is defined as sine c of x, that is equals to sine pi x by pi x. So using that function, the next term will be in terms of sine c, that is x of t equals to summation of n equals to minus infinite to infinite x of n by 2w sine c of 2w into t minus n by 2w, okay? Now next step, that is step number 5, is graphical representation of the interpolation process. So here consider this figure first of all. Here you can see the first one is x of f, which is the spectrum of band limited signal x of t with the instant minus w2 plus w, right? That is your spectrum of the original signal x of t. Below, the spectrum of the sampled signal, that is x delta of t, is shown. Now The next figure indicates the sampling signal fs, that is equals to 2w, and for that x delta of t is shown, right? That is your timing instance. And using that, reconstruction of original x of t from its sampling or with sampling instance or different samples using the interpolation process is shown, right? So this is the graphical representation of the interpolation process using sine C function. Okay. Now last step, step number 6 is of actual recovery of x of t using an ideal low pass filter. Okay. Now for this we are using the reconstruction filter, which is ideal low pass filter, which will remove the high frequency components and it will allow to pass only low frequency component. Okay. So at the input of this reconstruction filter we will give the sampled signal, and at the output side we will get the original signal back. Okay. So these are the 6 steps for proving the sampling theorem. These are the references. Thank you.